Thank you.
Is this some New Orleans theme?
All right, I guess we should start, right?
Yeah, let's
I guess
go
we
into
should
this.
go. I think that's a good start. Might as well just say, I guess we should start. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Backlot podcast, where we talk about some of our favorite films. Quite frankly, we feel like they're iconic films from our generation and beyond because we love the cinematography, we love the locations, and we love the people that brought some of these great stories to life. With me is the blonde backlot team.
The blonde backlot.
The Beyond the Backlot team. I'm just going to keep going because that's what this is. It's the Beyond the Backlot team. To my left, Mr. Dave Salvi, accomplished writer, movie lover, friend.
Indeed. Friend of the program.
Stuntman. I don't know what else.
Stuntman.
Stand-in. What else do you do? For the
I run amok around the set like a crazy person.
Yes. There was a lot of running. And then across from me is Mr. Chris Sattel, or as Siri calls you, Chris Saddle.
Chris Saddle. And
Chris
that
Saddle.
is the correct pronunciation.
You've been living a lie your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. As they say here.
Listen, we want to thank you guys for joining us because this is really the beginning. I mean, this is season 1, episode 1, where we hope over the next few episodes, the next few seasons, to really like open up some great stories and find out more, learn more, see more. I mean, all of the things that we feel like these were movies. Like when I look back at my growing up, mostly in the 80s, where films were like, they were moments. You'd show up, you'd go back. You know, I was thinking about this too. Like you didn't say, "Oh, I'll catch it when it comes out on video." You didn't say, "Oh, I'll catch it when it's streaming." Like you had to go see it, and then you had to go see it again. And you didn't have it in your mind that you were ever going to see that movie again, because once it was gone from the theater, it was gone.
Absolutely.
Like it was done. And I mean, we could go down that whole rabbit trail of when a VHS and all that stuff finally came to my house. But really, we want to go back on some of these films and really talk about what made them super special. Yeah. Not just to us, but we know for all of you out there watching and listening. And I think maybe before we talk about like the nuts and bolts of what is Beyond the Backlot, let's talk about why. Like, what is it about? I mean, maybe Chris, start with you. Like, why talk about films that we feel like shaped us? Like,
I mean, I think it's because, I mean, if we think about it, everything that we pretty much see today has been inspired by, or it's a remake of, or it's a sequel to. I mean, look at Ready Player One, probably the most new relevant movie that's been out.
Great movie.
And it is full of nostalgia, right?
Right.
So this nostalgia isn't just, your typical nostalgia. This is kind of a unique nostalgia because it's hitting our older, generations, and it's hitting a young generation too. So if you think about this, and I was thinking about this, when I was a kid, I did not watch movies from the 60s and the 50s. I didn't care to. Okay. But we've got this young generation today that are watching movies from the 80s and the 70s, and they're connecting to it, and the 90s as well. I mean, these kids are connecting to these movies that they had no, I mean, talk about, there's no internet, there's dial phones. I mean, they're dated by naturally in some degree or another. And yet they're still drawn to them. And I mean, we can go, like you said, we can go down that rabbit hole as to why. But I think that this is why we want to talk about it, because the audience, you guys, are big.
And it's growing.
And it's growing. Yeah. And it's not going anywhere. And what we want to do is we want to bring these films back to life. And together we want to do that in a way that is friendly to everybody. This is a family-friendly show. And we're going to have actors on. We're going to talk about all this stuff. We're going to talk about these movies with filmmakers, get stories that we've never heard before. We want to bring it all so that this audience and this growing audience has some new material to appreciate.
When so I have 2 daughters, 15 and 12. And when we have watched a couple of these films, just stuff that I'm prepping for as we get episodes ready, and every single time something happens on screen and they're like, "Dad, what is that?" Like we were watching War Games, and he takes the phone and puts it on, and there's like, that's how you connected to the internet? I said, well, it really wasn't an internet.
Yeah.
It's how you did. That's how you did direct connections to other computers. And my daughter, like, sitting there on her iPhone, like, so lame. She's like, I'm just gonna stream all of that right now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
There's no. So it's like there's a relearn, and then you were like the whole Stranger Things like phenomenon, right?
Oh,
like,
totally.
Such a dial back, and so for all of us that grew up in that time, it's all over again. It's literally a complete reliving of all of those great adventure style films where kids were doing out things that they shouldn't have been doing, but that's why you went in the movie, because those kids were doing stuff, like Explorers or the Goonies. Like, they were breaking all the rules and doing stuff that you wanted to do as a kid.
Yep.
And now we're reliving it. Like, what's been like for you, like the why behind what we're doing?
I analyze the movies that we're going to look at, right? And I see, especially on me, what has impacted me, the paradigm on which I see story.
Yeah.
I think that the filmmakers went down a path that, from basically like Jaws to Star Wars to Indiana Jones to Back to the Future to Goonies, into Jurassic Park, they all had a rather simplistic plot line of an adventure quest, and it just it was embedded in me early on, and I've always enjoyed that as a story. And I've always thought that that was the best type of writing, because it sort of was a simple human, and I'm going kind of in a weird subterranean level here, but this human instinct of having a goal, and no matter the obstacle, you're going to go and get it.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was so beautiful. And the fact that we're going back to do that, and Chris mentioned movies that are made now, and how there's like a desire to see what was made in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think it's because it's a more attractive framework for creating stories. I really believe that. And I think the sequels, the remakes, people want more originality. And I think it's sort of sad that because every single one of the movies I just listed, those were originals.
Yeah,
and
totally.
There's something very special about just an original idea that it was seen through, and the thematic elements that really connect with you. So when you're able to revisit those, you're reminded of, God, that's the way to do it.
I think I'm going to call Dave the doctor from now on our podcast, because he just brought like a PhD level to like what I feel like I'm stumbling around in the dark.
No.
The paradigm of story. And it's like, oh man, I wish I could talk
his writer vocabulary.
Man.
Just now I was Googling half of what he said. What does this word mean?
We'll put those in the show notes.
Stop it.
Dr. Dave.
Little lower third's going to come in. The definition of paradigm is...
A little
Oh, it's so good.
Stop it.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, because like if, again, right now there is more content available. There's more story available. There's more channels, more everything. I was listening to another podcast where an actress was talking about how she's so stoked that all of her friends are working right now, because there's just so much. But yet you dial the clock back 20, 30 years, it wasn't that way.
Right.
There were 4 or 5 big studios. There were 3 big networks. And man, you got a show or you got on, man, that was awesome. And the things that were making it to film at that time, they still hold today.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying stuff today is bad. It's just there's just more of it.
Yeah.
And so, like the scarcity of story, the scarcity of adventure, all that kind of stuff. That now, when we turn the clock back as a family, we go watch a movie or something. My kids are just as enamored, as I was.
Yeah.
So there's something to that too. When we watch Goonies with the kids, and they were like, "This is awesome," or my kids love Star Wars. They love all those kind of science fiction things that we would go and watch. And I mean, there's some movies that we won't like. Time Bandits. I love Time Bandits. I thought Time Bandits are great, but my kids, their girls they're not into that. They're like, "Oh, Dad, that's weird." I don't care. But there are some of those adventure stories that are just so good, and they stand the test of time. And so that's what I think is cool about what we're doing is we're able to talk about stuff that's lasted, and I think it's proven it's going to continue to last because they're timeless stories.
Yep.
So
I always like to say this about Beyond the Backlot. Why are these movies special to us? Well, it's because we only owned like 10 of them.
Right.
You talked about all the different streaming, all the different types of movies. We owned 10 VHS. You would watch those 10 VHS over and over and over.
Totally.
You memorized it. You knew it beginning to end. And if you got bored of those 10 VHS, where did you go? You went to the movies.
Yeah.
You would go and you'd watch a movie in the theater because you only had certain content on TV. You like for me, wasn't a huge fan of it. You couldn't record DVR. There was no scrolling through menus. You had what you had, and so typically that's why you would go to the movies. All right, there's nothing on tonight. Let's go to the theater. I've already watched that VHS so many times, and so I think that has also created a certain level of recognition for our generation, and then the younger generation. I think Goonies, for example, I know that younger generation's looking at that going, what's that like to be able to get on your bike, not tell your parents where you're going, and disappear for basically 3 days or whatever it is, and go
Why
on this
didn't they find
epic
them with
adventure?
Find My Friends? Like,
exactly.
Like, oh, they're over there with that ship in the cave. Oh, let's go follow their GPS.
yeah, exactly. I mean, think about the freedom that must seem like to them.
Oh,
in today's generation, like your girls looking at Goonies. I mean, that probably the idea of that would never cross their minds.
You're like go down the road of just cultural shifts in how that just like I did that. I remember I'd come home from school, I'd hop on a bike, and I was gone. And I mean literally I'd hear my mom say, "Home when the streetlights come on," right? Yep. And for the next 2 hours, the world was my oyster. Like drive to the dirt mound, it could have been 2 miles away, and I could have died, and they never would have known where I was. You know, it was it's a culture shift. And even the on-demand thing. So like you were kind of talking about, like you'd get a movie, you'd wear it out, or like we live in this time now where it's like, if you want to watch it, let's watch it. Like, doing some of the studying for some of the films that are coming up for us. Like, I just click over to iTunes, download them, rent them for $2.99, and I'm great.
Instant gratification.
Instant. And
speaking of, just to kind of wrap a bow on that.
Yes, doctor. Take us home. I
was just going to say what you were talking about, taking your bike out, coming back when the streetlights are on, to steal a little line from Last Crusade. I taught you self-reliance.
Did I ever tell you to eat up, go to bed, wash your ears, do your homework? No, I respected your privacy, and I taught you self-reliance.
And that was a big thing. The parents, figure it out, kid.
Yeah.
Self-reliance. Now, it's also it's like a cultural thing. A little bit of helicopter parenting and such that turns us into these homebodies, so to speak, because we want the safety and all that stuff. Anyway, there's my bow. that was a sociological bow.
The doctor has spoken.
Also, Spielberg received some award lately, and he crapped on streaming a little bit, and he was really pushing theatrical. He was pushing other directors, like keep making films for the theater.
Yeah,
this is the pinnacle of our profession.
Well, and you bring up something.
Theatricals.
I wonder this, and not to bring up a depressing topic here, but I want to ask: these movies are special. This show is special because we are tapping into these movies that we're talking about, the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And what we're talking about here is why these movies are special. I don't know that we're ever going to have a time period like those 3 decades again.
Yeah,
because of technology, because of streaming, because of content saturation. Again, and this isn't a knock and all that stuff. I don't think we'll ever have this unique time period again. And so because of that, I just wonder, is there has to be a pretty intentional shift in what the audience and what the market wants for theatrical releases to continue to do well. And it's tough because, think about it. I remember, this is a 90s movie, but, I went and I bought a ticket to meet Joe Black so that I could see the Phantom Menace trailer.
Oh, sure. Yeah, totally.
Just so I could see the trailer, right?
Yeah. I did the same thing, though. I think I paid twice. Like, I think I went the day I knew it was coming out.
Yeah.
And we paid, and I remember 3 or 4 of us stood in the back. We watched the preview, and we were like, oh, my gosh. And then later that night, we were like, let's go back and watch it again. So we went and literally bought another ticket. Didn't stay for the movie, but just to watch the preview again.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the what and how. Like, how this came to be, to kind of give... I think to give everybody that's part of this podcast an understanding of kind of the fortuitous nature of this whole thing, because I can say for the first time in my life, this was something that happened, like a conversation became something. Like normally you sit around and spitball ideas, and and even like some of these movies at some point someone goes, oh, that'd be a great film, and then boom, it happens, right?
Yeah.
So we were, this was literally you and Dave Grauberger, who will join us at some point on one of these podcasts, as he's our great cinematographer, director of photography for all of our content. We're sitting in my house, and we start spitballing. This was like December of 16.
Yeah.
I mean, almost 2 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And just like we do, we're watching some movie, and we're talking about, like, why we loved it. We're going over all these things, and I feel like the conversation turned like, oh, we should do a podcast, or we should do some kind of content, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Again, just, I think at some point, my wife's like checking out because she's like, oh, you guys are talking about this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And we go ad nauseum.
Yeah.
And then at some point you said, what if we did a TV show?
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Cool story, Chris. Ha ha ha. But then that's when I remember my wife clued back in. She goes, oh yeah, you guys would be awesome at that. You guys would be great.
I remember her saying that.
You guys would be awesome.
Yeah.
So it was like fun to hear all that. But again, you're like, we're just sitting around the house, hanging out, talking about fun stuff.
Yeah.
That'll never happen. And then lo and behold, like a month later, this guy calls me, like out of the blue. I get a call, and I'm looking like, oh, Chris Saddle. There's Chris Saddle. And he's like, hey, man, green light. Let's go do this. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like that. I mean, I know it happens because we have all these content, creative things around us. But like when it like centers in on an idea that you jawed about with a few friends, it's crazy.
It's crazy. I would say that was our Spielberg-Lucas moment with Indiana Jones. I'm not comparing ourselves to them by any means.
Oh, I do it all the time.
But I'm
those
saying
guys,
you're better.
I'm saying, of course. I mean, yeah. Morons. No, I mean, the story of them sitting on the beach,
Yeah.
and coming up with Indiana Jones, right? It was a conversation. I think that was what was fun, is realizing, okay,
sounds like a romantic moment.
No, it does, right? They're sitting
hand
on the
in
beach.
hand.
Yes. So Star Wars was great.
Maybe we should stop
Jaws,
making.
You did a great job in Jaws. Yes.
We should stop making fun of Lucas and Spielberg right now.
Alienate half of our audience.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
We love them so much.
But no, what happens when we're always together? We're always talking about these movies, and I think that's why we had to create something out of it. And I remember with you, I'm like, well, hey, research shows that people like they tend to go to shows that are earlier in the alphabet. And then I think the next morning you're like, Beyond the Backlot.
So yeah, I remember you saying that, and it made perfect sense because, like, talking about how people scroll through stuff, and if they can't find something that they know they want to watch, they just start at the top and they just start scrolling. And it's like, so it makes total sense. Like, hey, get something early in the alphabet, so by the time they hit A, B, C, D, E, that awesome, you're in. And so I remember rolling up, and I was like, I was driving in, and it just hit me. It was like Beyond the Backlot. Like, that's what we want to do. We want to go beyond the backlot. We want to get the locations. We want to get the things that pass the hype and all the surface level stuff and go one level deeper. And so, I mean, that was, and then it was like, oh, we got a title. Cool.
Yeah. But you know how helpful that is to have, because what you did is you gave it an identity.
Yeah.
It's like a flag, like a rallying flag.
Yeah. It was a reference from there on out. Yeah. And then it became a reality.
Well, and it helped shape, like, how we want to go about it, like, because I really think that's what we're trying to do, is get beyond the I want to say, like, I keep saying the idea of beyond the surface hype, like, I mean, because the truth is there's also so much stuff available today. Like, you can go back into the history of these things with 2 Google searches, and you can kind of be someone of aficionado on the history of these movies because they've been talked about so much. And I don't even know that I would say we're on this quest to find the super deep thoughts and things that existed, but almost more so about just reviving it and bringing it back to the front of the line of, like, hey, well, let's talk about, like, why this was a thing and how cool and special it was. Because I think at that time Stranger Things was just like blowing up, and again, so it was like there's this resurgence of that time period.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Yeah, exactly.
And we knew people our age are reflecting back and they're reflecting back on a time that's retro but nostalgic. It's not just retro goofy, it's nostalgic. And so when you, and then lo and behold, a month later, like we're gearing up to go shoot. And I think so this was probably something that we have to talk about, is the fact that, you know, we decided we wanted to do the Goonies. We decided we wanted to, like, one of the really special times of this, really the moment that became real was when we determined, in order to really get this thing launched, it needed teeth, like legitimacy. Not to say that what we were going to do wasn't legitimate, but knowing like cranking it to 11 would be somebody that was a part of the movie or had something to do with the movie in a big way. And so, I mean, we were going round and round. Like, I remember we talked about, like, how do we get Sean Astin? And
right.
Very quickly realized, oh, he's getting picked up for Stranger Things. There's no way in God's green earth we'll ever get him. And kind of went through a list of actors of Josh Brolin. That's not going to happen. He's Thanos right now. So
yeah.
So
busy destroying the world.
Yeah. So, but then I don't remember who it was, but brought up, like, well, what about Richard Donner?
Yeah.
What if we got Donner?
Yeah.
And I remember my first reaction was, that guy's Hollywood royalty, legend.
Yeah.
How are we gonna? That's gotta happen. Like, this guy's, you know, he's the golden hour of his career, like, you know, just basking in all the great things he's done. And he's still producing X-Men. He's still producing all these things. Like, this, nice try. We got to think of somebody else. Who was it? Who was it that said no? We should do it. Was it you?
I think it was me. So I wanted to go after Donner.
Yeah.
And what was funny is I went about it as any producer does. Let's go and let's find let's do 6 degrees of separation.
Sure.
Kevin Bacon style, right?
Right.
All right. Who do I know that knows someone that knows someone that knows someone that can get us Donner? And I'm going through this process, and finally I find someone who knows Donner. And I'm like, hey, can you reach out to Donner? We want to do this show called Beyond the Backlot. And that person says,
I thought you were about to do an impression. I was running for this. Like,
no, honestly, I was trying not to.
Hello, mate.
Hello. I'm going to tell you about it.
Right, so bad idea.
Sir Richard don't want to talk to you. Get the hell out of here.
I totally thought you were, like, prepping.
Oh, I wish I had.
Here comes the
If only I was that entertaining. No, but they basically said no. They're like, I don't want to cash in that favor for you
when
guys.
I think about the chips, when I think about the chips, I'm going to cash in with Richard Donner.
I'm keeping those for me.
You aren't one of them.
Exactly. And so I was
duly
like,
noted.
So here's what's great. And
saddlebags.
Our executive producer goes, why don't you just overnight him a FedEx letter?
This is the phrase that I never forget that you remember he said to you was, nobody doesn't open an overnight FedEx envelope.
Yes.
It was like
it's such a great statement.
It's a great point.
It's 100% true.
Yeah.
Because either you're in fear that now some agency is after you.
Yep.
Like someone's after you for money. Yeah. Someone is about to be indicted.
Dude,
like,
you've been
who's going to
subpoenaed.
spend $30 on an overnight envelope? Like, or it's a check. It's like, oh, someone sent some money.
Exactly.
Great, you know?
And here's the thing is he goes, he says, overnight, just the single piece of paper, nothing else.
Yeah.
And that's all we did. So I typed out a letter to Donner, explained what we're doing. I put it in the sleeve. I overnighted it. The next day, I kind of forget that I overnighted it. I'm not tracking the package or anything like that. And all of a sudden at 10:30 a.m., I get a phone call, and it's Richard Donner's assistant.
That's so good.
Going, yeah. You know what? He loves this stuff. He'll be happy to do it.
I remember you said she actually opened the conversation like, so what are you guys doing?
Yes.
It was like
she did.
this, like, what is this all about? What are you guys up to?
Yeah.
Like, and so like got to pitch the show over the phone.
Yep.
And then the whole thing about like, oh, like once you get the green light, it's like, oh, and you default to like, how can I not be a burden? Yeah. Hey, so we'll set up a phone call, we'll set up a Skype, and then it was. She's like, no, Richard doesn't do that.
Yeah. I see where. Yeah. No. Now I'm trying to remember that whole. You're right. So yeah, we were trying to be accommodating.
Yeah,
because
totally.
I never would have thought that we could get to Donner in his physical presence. Right. But yeah, you're right. I even had downloaded some software where we could record our Skype.
Video, the whole thing.
Yeah, and she says, no, Richard Donner, Dick doesn't Skype.
Yeah, Dick doesn't Skype.
Yep.
So just come to the office.
Yeah.
he's got some great Goonies stuff all around the office.
Yeah.
And that was an understatement.
That
once we got
place
there,
was slathered.
oh my gosh.
It was, I mean, listen, when I walked in and I saw an original Drew Struzan, the Goonies poster, the original, just sitting in his hallway on the wall. That's when I was like, holy crap, this is next level.
And you're going to see it in the episode, but like when we get to the office, there were so many, just like from the time you walk in, there's memorabilia. I'm not going to spoil all of it, but like there's memorabilia from the time you walk in the door.
Yep.
And then when you walk through one door into the next, there's every movie poster that he and his wife have produced. They were right in the middle of launching Logan. So Logan was hitting the theaters like the next week, and Donner Company's produced every X-Men movie from the beginning. And then every poster on the wall, from Scrooge to the Lost Boys to Dave, like, and all signed by the entire cast. Like, I mean, you just started like, you're like, how much more am I going to see? And then right, you saw the Struzan painting.
Mm-hmm.
On the right, with all of them hanging off the cliff down to the very bottom.
Yeah.
And then walking into his office was just like, I mean, it was, I couldn't, like, so Scrooge is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Like, one of my favorite. Not just because Bill Murray, but just because I love the movie. And Donner directed it. And then just all of the Superman history. And you walk into his office and there's a piece of everything. And I remember one of the first things I said to him was, like, looking at this wall, it's like looking at my childhood. And he responded with, me too. Yeah. And that was like, oh my gosh, we're off to the races. This guy is so genuine, so just sweet and authentic. And when we sat down and started talking, I mean, we were joking, and he was totally like fun and energetic and everything. But the minute we started asking about Goonies, it was like a guy talking about one of his kids. Mm-hmm. Like his whole demeanor shifted. He was just laid back and relaxed, and you could just tell for him, it's been a long time in a lot of movies, right?
Yeah.
But he talked about it as if this was stuff that he'll never forget.
Yeah.
From how they selected the plays to the kids, to the script, and I know, he did not speak any ill of any of it. It was like, this was a highlight of his career and everything that he learned and brought away from. I mean, oh my gosh. Yeah. Bucket list, man. Yeah. And so the interview was great and being there, but then even after the interview, to just kind of jaw around and talk and have him poke around at some stuff.
Remember, you can catch this all on our YouTube channel.
That's right.
Beyond the Backlot channel.
You can check all of this in its entirety. Thank you, Dave.
6 hours long.
Yeah. But one of the things too about to say about Richard Donner was his assistant, if you remember, she was pulling him out of the office because he was spending too much time with us.
Yeah.
Because he had to go. He had another meeting. And but he was just so cool to hang out with it.
So one of the cool things I remember saying to him, because he's a director, like he's a working guy. And I remember towards the end of us getting ready to go, he says, I said to him, so what are you working on? Do you have one more in you? Because he had directed for a while, I think since 16 Blocks. I think that was the last one he directed. And he said, I think so. I said, really? He says, yeah, but I can't tell you.
And we're here now to break news.
Yeah,
Goonies 2.
Yeah, right.
To
no,
2025.
He shut that down pretty hard. But he did talk about like a couple of things. I think it was on the internet, so it's not like anything new news. But he talked about like a musical that somebody had been working on, or an attraction that somebody had been working on. But when it came out the following year after we did that interview, they announced the meeting between him, Mel Gibson, and Danny Glover for the next Lethal Weapon. And then it got stalled. So it's like in some development, chasm. So anyway, I mean, that was just a bucket list. It was a bucket list that I didn't know was a bucket list, to have that opportunity. And then to turn the corner, I think it was a week later, we ended up in Astoria for
it was about
5 days. Yeah. And probably some of the funnest 5 days of navigating crazy weather, being a part of some iconic locations that have not changed. Yeah. Like, that's the kicker of this, is that after 30 years, they are still the same. Like, you drive by and Like, it's not even like, oh, I think it might be. It's like, no, that's it. There is nothing different about it. And that's when you're like, it's that punch in the gut, like, oh my gosh. And Astoria is such a, like, it became a place for Donner. He had shot like another couple movies there, you know? And so he put himself, because he loved the town so much, more movies. Free Willy, he shot there. Kindergarten Cop got shot there, like over and over. Like, there's just, that you look around, like you kind of spin your head and you're like, oh, that was there. And it's so small. Short Circuit was shot there. Like, you see all of this. And then once you see it and you're in there in the weather and you start to go, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I remember, like, being conveyed from film. This is it. So anyway,
well, and that's why
very meta.
That's
I like
but that's why we chose.
That's true.
Yeah,
but that's why we chose the Goonies too, because you think we always say this: location as a character.
Oh, totally.
And you
100%.
and you hammer that in our first episode, and it is so true. And my whole life, the Goonies, the story of where they go through the woods, the ocean, everything about that movie. I didn't know it was Astoria, Oregon, right? It didn't matter. It was, that's their location, and it was a character, absolutely. And so that's what was really fun about Astoria, is everywhere you would go, you'd recognize from one of these movies. And I think everybody enjoys that, right? All audience loves that, because when somebody recognizes a place from a movie, they comment on it. It doesn't matter if they've only seen that movie once. If they recognize it, they comment, because it's a fun little fact. It's a fun little thing to know that you've seen. It's real life. And I always call it, it's water cooler conversation, right?
Totally.
Hey, I saw the Ghostbusters building. You know, people like to have those little things that they can say that they've experienced.
The Statue of Liberty?
Not really.
We've talked a lot about it, but it's going to be available on our YouTube channel, Beyond the Backlot. Make sure you watch it and keep up. There's some great little nuggets, some great little gold pieces of film history in there, some great people, lots of fun and surprises you do not want to miss on the Beyond the Backlot YouTube channel. Can I say channel? Is that what the kids are saying?
Channel.
YouTube channel. So my daughter's going to give me grief for that. Like, Dad, seriously.
God, you're such a nerd.
You're such a loser that you don't know what's called.
Of course, my dad's going to be a YouTube star.
Star is no.
Well, we'll see.
Be 3 trillion videos.
Yeah. When people, just let me know when you find someone that has your face and beard on their T-shirt for the first time that you're unaware of. It's going to be amazing.
Oh my God.
Want that T-shirt.
No, please, no. I'm really excited for everybody to stick around and hang with us over these next few episodes and just see what we've been up to and see what we get to be a part of. And the hope is that you experience it with us. Like that's really, I think, what the heart of this is. It's like, we're not just going to this stuff and pointing out all the things that we know. Our hope is that there's an experience along with super fans like ourselves, where we're kind of reliving our childhood dreams through some of this stuff and reminding people of kind of the magic and beauty that comes along with it in really special places and stuff. So this is Beyond the Backlot podcast. Thanks for joining us on season 1, episode 1 of the Beyond the Backlot podcast. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Beyond the Backlot for some really great behind the scenes content, pictures, photos, some fun stuff. Of course, be sure to check us out on YouTube, Beyond the Backlot. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications. Make sure that you subscribe, like all of the stuff, because you don't want to miss out on some great content. Also on Facebook, be sure to watch us there. And if you got any questions, email us at concessions@beyondthebacklot.com. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves some treats there. Any questions, guests, ideas, fun stuff, just reach out. We'd love to hear from you. I think that does it.
Yeah.
Season 1. Episode 1.
Yeah.
Dr. Dave, Chris, everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, episode 2.